Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. And again, sorry if you see loads of chop. You literally, when you're trying to do something and get to a certain level, you really have to like multitask quickly. So recording, coming back, training, coming back, it is what it is. But we're being graced by our guests, and especially for people that don't know, this is like after a full day of work, and the fact that somebody's willing to give us their time, you should always be grateful. It's Moses Makola. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, thanks, man. Even better now. Yeah.
Good. How was like now? I didn't actually know this until you spoke to me, obviously, because LinkedIn doesn't keep your age in that. But for being 18, what keeps you so like driven to do all the stuff you're doing?
Good question. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I don't believe somebody can be content, if that makes sense. I don't believe in contentment. I feel like there's always, once you get to like, say you have a goal, once you reach that goal, you want to go even further than that goal. I don't believe you can ever be content. Even if I say today, one day I want to have, say, I don't know, let's say £1 million. I think if I were to get to £1 million, I say, no, I want 10 million now. And I'll just keep going. I don't think I can be content. I think it's bad, but it's also good in the same sense that like, I'm always driven to do something. I always have a new goal I'm trying to chase in. And even just people around me, I think it's quite important for me to do my best, like my family. So just everybody around me, they just kind of inspire me to just do the best I can. And yeah, I think I've always been driven, to be honest, but it's hard sometimes to also keep up because you see a lot of people around you, even my age. There's not a lot of people doing the kind of things I'm doing at the same time. So when I'm seeing my friends, some of them, they're doing one thing and I'm doing the other thing. It's kind of hard to kind of, when you see other people are doing something that looks a lot more fun than what you're doing, it's really hard to just think, okay, what I'm doing is fine, but you just gotta be gotta be disciplined, to be honest, and like really believe in what you're doing and you believe that it's better for you in the long run. And
Yeah,
you'll be,
100%.
can't stop. Can't be
Yeah.
stopped.
I totally agree with you. But to get into yourself a little bit, so you're effectively right. Well, obviously we'll do it right now, but then we'll go back because it's kind of easier for people to relate that way. Right now, you're a real estate investment specialist, part-time.
Yeah.
What exactly, just for the viewers that maybe don't know, what exactly is it you do like day to day?
So currently what we work on at the moment at the company I work at, we specialize in property sourcing. So what we do for a lot of people that are trying to get into different property investments, they're trying to get into property essentially. We kind of help them now in terms of we save their time because obviously to find a property now, the right kind of price, the right kind of profit coming in, all these different things going on, different contracts. So what we do, we kind of act as a middleman between like an investor, say the landlord or the agent. We act like a middleman to just kind of smooth the proceedings and just make the investor have like less worries essentially when they're trying to get into property. So that's what we kind of work. That's what we do as a company. So obviously myself, my day, maybe obviously I'm looking for different properties, looking for different deals online, deals in different websites, Gumtree, Zoopla, Open Rent, just the kind of the whole kind of property websites. And also I'm also spending a lot of time talking to different investors that maybe they want to take on something. So I'm booking them into viewings with different agents, different landlords maybe that are trying to get into to take a look at the house that is going to maybe potentially invest in. So that's the kind of how it goes in a day. So most of the time I'm just spending just trying to find deals. So talking to different agents on the phone, just obviously letting them know what we're kind of doing if they're willing to kind of have that happen. And if they are willing, obviously it's good for us, good for business. I'm kind of go through with that. And if not, I am now talking to different investors to try to get them booked in for the viewings now. So it's just a lot of stuff. But I enjoy it. So I think it's doable. Definitely doable.
It'll be dealing with because you're saying investors, so you'll be good at relations when it comes to people that have like a lot of money, because they obviously that's obviously different dealing with a normal, well, quote unquote, what people say normal person type thing. So yeah, you're definitely getting like all sorts of different avenues in that. So it's good experience as well, to be honest. Is that
110%.
So excuse me. So you were at we'll go back a little bit. You were at you are currently at Queen Mary University of London as well. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And what is it you're studying? Like, what do you do at the uni?
I study computer science at the moment.
Computer science. So for those of people that did watch it, we did have somebody that were talking about computer science before, but I never actually asked them what computer science was, and somebody kicked me for that. So could you mind telling us what exactly computer science is?
I get this wrong, it'll be embarrassing. Computer science, essentially the science of computers, to be honest, I hate to say it, but just kind of looking into how different things work in terms of the hardware of computers, so the physical aspects, and like the software, so like applications, different kind of programming. But I think largely when they do talk about computer science, it's a lot of maths. So a lot of math stuff to do with computers, like for instance, binary, different hexadecimal kind of related stuff. And I think it goes to programming. So then this is different coding languages, say Python, Java. I think that's largely what it entails. Like, if I had to say it briefly, I think that's largely what it entails.
So when you're, what was the reason you chose to go from, because you went from school to uni, am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
How, was there a reason? Obviously, I'm kind of, because obviously I'm from Scotland, so I'm kind of gathering how English, their uni and college and stuff like that works. But I take it you didn't need to go straight from college? You could have went from college. Well, since you went from school to uni, was there a reason you didn't go to college, or you were just like, I don't need to do that, so I can just jump forward a step?
How it works here, I think it says sixth form. So I did. So sixth form and college is like the same thing basically. So I did. Obviously, I finished school, like secondary school. Then I went to sixth form, which is the same as college. So that's like 2 years I was spending on my A levels, and that's the 2 years that you need to do before you get into university. So obviously I did spend time in, it's known as sixth form or college. So I went to a sixth form instead. So it's a bit smaller than like a college. But obviously I got my A levels then, which is the qualification needed to get into university. And after that, I thought like, I don't know, I feel like it's not really, nowadays, there's not like a standard procedure you should take in terms of like your career. There's no like correct way. But it seems to me that the thing that made the most sense was just going to uni after sixth form when I finished my college stuff. So that's the kind of route I decided to take.
Yeah. So, well, with knowing the fact that like, so the reason the way it works, and I'm sure you yourself will know, but viewers might not know, the way it works in Scotland is you can do your pretty much a degree, 3 years of a degree. The first 2 years is a HNC, a HND, and then your degree year. But in Scotland, we can do them at college. So you go from school, primary 7, to then college, and then you go to university. Or you can do 3 at uni, but obviously to save money, you do them at college, and it's so much easier. Yeah, it's so much easier on the people and yourself and that. So what year are you currently in university just now?
I've just started, so I'm in my first year. I started in September. So I've just done my first semester, getting into my second one now.
What's your so when you were going into the into computer science, and then you're involved in real estate effectively, is that is there like a little ulterior plan you've got where you want to get involved in software and real estate, or what's your kind of, because they're obviously different, but they're kind of going to be the same, which we will get to in a little bit. They're kind of going to be the same. What was the reason behind that?
It's a good question, to be fair. I think quite literally, obviously, I've been doing programming, computer stuff my whole life. So there's no question about it, just for me to do computer science. I think that's what I did really strongly though in school. I think in terms of real estate, I think it was like, for me anyway, I feel like it's a good thing to kind of pursue as like a side hustle, if that makes any sense. It's a good skill to have. So potentially one day when I'm older, I'll have a bit more capital to work with. I can be kind of doing into a lot of like, property development, property kind of management, property investments, that kind of stuff. So I feel like for me, it was an important skill for me to learn. And obviously, not only am I learning about property, I'm also learning about sales. As I mentioned before, I'm talking to different investors. So I'm learning a lot of sales skills, also marketing, aftermarket to different kinds of, investors, different landlords, different agents. So I feel like it's like a lot of skills I'm learning at the same time. And I do feel like they will tie well eventually one day with the computer science stuff I'm doing. So potentially one day I can say myself, I've got the experience to potentially sell like a property kind of based software app, if that makes any sense. Because I have my time in property, I've had my time also in sales and marketing within the property stuff. And on the side, I've got a skill of computer science as well. So this means I can just kind of put it together into a lot of it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a good way to go about it. And the fact to like, because I still want to ask you something, but like, to just go off of what you just said, the fact that you're doing it at 18. So were you 18? Never mind, silly question. I was going to say, were you 18 last year? But obviously, there must be like people, I take it like your mum and your dad and your family are quite driven people, because to be driven at your age, that's even in this day and age where we are very like, you know, motivation, you got to do this, you got to succeed and all sort of stuff. People still don't. So like
100%.
do you have like quite a circle around you, like your parents and or maybe like siblings that are quite driven, or is it just you want to be like the sole provider type thing?
I think directly in my household, so how I live right now, I live with my mom, so my dad doesn't live with me anymore.
All right,
And I'm the oldest as well. So I've got 3 younger siblings, so I'm the oldest. So in my household, I don't think it maybe that there is to an extent, but I don't think there's anybody that just tells me, okay, Moses, go do this, go do that, go do that. I just kind of, I don't know where it was, maybe growing up. I just had it in me the whole time. I have to be responsible. If that makes any sense. I have to be responsible. I have to be able to do things for myself and do things to people around me. I can't just sit down and do nothing. It doesn't make sense to me. But I do feel like my friendship group though, I feel they're quite strong because of them being driven. Because I think one issue is, even though there's social media, when people see other people like achieve things to get like successful, they tend to get jealous. For me, I think it's the direct opposite. If I see somebody, especially close to me, doing something amazing or they're being very successful, for me, it just drives me because I think if they can do it, I can do that as well and even more. So it's just really, I think my friendship circle is quite important for me to just always be driven, to be honest. And even those around me, obviously you can hear talking to me, you can say that I've done a lot maybe, but there's people that have done way more, even, I don't know, my age. This is ridiculous. So yeah.
The thing as well is that like you're saying, you're very you're driven and you're envious of people. So you're like, yeah, I know I can get it. Like you look up to them, aka that's another way of saying that. It's great to be like that at that age. But so say like what year is this? 2022. Say like 5 years time, so 2027. What's your obviously people's end goal changes, but what's your kind of goal you want to be in 5 years time, or where you want to be? Sorry.
5 years time. So if I'm correct, I think I should be graduating, obviously, hopefully in 2024. So that means I have 3 years after I graduate. I think hopefully at that point, obviously it's a large goal to say, but I would like to be self-employed. I would like to be self-employed, hopefully. I hope I have more control over my time, which is I can control a bit more of my time. And I think hopefully I'm doing a lot of things as well at the same time, if that makes any sense. So I've got a lot on my plate, but I also got a lot of time on my hands. I'm also like I'm just really dependent. I want to be really independent. Sorry, that's the wrong word to use. I want to be really independent. So I don't have to worry about too many things. I just have control of everything that's going on in my life. And there's also a lot going on at the same time. So that's the kind of goal I have, hopefully, 5 years. Once again, it could change though. So we'll see.
Yeah. It always, as you're saying though, it's good to have goals, but goals that, one, are attainable, and 2, that you can break. Like there's always that side of section of things as well, is that people actually sometimes forget that you need to have goals that you can break and goals you can achieve as well. Excuse me. But because of like you've been I take it you've kind of always known what you wanted to do and be involved in since you've kind of like, you know, well, yeah, I'll let you explain that. Have you actually always known what you wanted to be involved in, or was it like a swift change somewhere?
I think to an extent, because like I said before, I've always been a really computer tech kind of guy. I've always been spending a lot of time on computers, kind of fixing them, doing different things. But I think it wasn't up until maybe year 11. So this is maybe 15 years old, 14 years old. I feel like at the time I wanted to get into finance and accounting a little bit. But also I was talking to another one of my friends now. Like I mentioned before, I think my circle is quite important, me and my success. So I talked to one of my friends now. He just persuaded me. He said it doesn't make sense for you to do that because, like you said, you like computers. So at that point, I was like, wow, like, why am I getting into finance? I like computers. So it just kind of, at that point, it showed me that, okay, for me, that makes more sense now to do computers. So from the age of maybe 15, I've been there to computer science. So everything I've done in terms of education, career, computer science has always been the focus. I think also just getting older now, maybe when I'm turning from around 18, even around last year during lockdown, whatever, I kind of saw computer science is good, but I really like entrepreneurship as well. So I really want to kind of use the skills I'm gaining from computer science to push into entrepreneurship. So I think that's probably the main thing I want to do right now, entrepreneurship. And I think it's been like for a long time, I've been wanting to do entrepreneurship. So think definitely it's yeah. I've always want to go with this.
Yeah, you were saying you want to be self-employed. What is that, something to do with computer science, or is that to do with real estate? Or
It
both?
could be both. It could
Yeah.
be both. Literally, it could be both because it just depends now if everything's working. Because say we have like obviously, hopefully, I can have multiple business. I have a business in real estate. I've got business in computer science. It's gonna be both. So just do as many things that I can. But the way I like to kind of like put it into words and kind of yeah, just put it into words like just like one thing. I like to say that my plan is to take over the world. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
It's not literally to do that. It just means to do everything that I can, every single thing that I can, just to do as much as I can and just keep high and be good at it. So when I say take over the world, it just means anything I can, to be honest, everything, anything, just as much as I can. So yeah, when I say entrepreneurship, self-employment, it just means just I'm just a free guy, to be honest. I'm working on things that I want to do and the things that I think I value as well. Because obviously, even working, I think this summer I got my first job. It was quite difficult to work for something you didn't care about. And that's not something I understood before, to be honest. So I think learning that kind of lesson, it kind of inspired me now to make sure that, especially when I'm older, I'm going to maybe have kids, whatever. I want to be doing things that I love, like everywhere, just everywhere. I'm just happy consistently in my career, education, relationships, anything. I just want to be like happy. I'm doing things that I care about, if that makes any sense.
No, perfect. Yeah, you're making perfect sense, man. It's like
Yeah.
genuinely like I definitely hear where you're coming from, but on another way to look at it, you get from doing what you love all the time and from kind of like selecting, which honestly I'm totally for you doing that, and I'm totally for everybody that's watching this, totally for everybody doing that. But um when you do that sort of stuff, you get a lot of negativity because you're like, oh, you could be doing this, you could be doing that, or if you have gotten, if you have, obviously, how do you deal with like the negativity, like, oh, why don't you just do this, or why don't you just take that job, or if you don't even get that, how do you deal with negativity in general?
I think negativity is a difficult thing. I think obviously you can't avoid it sometimes. It's everywhere, especially now with the internet. Sometimes when you just make a comment on YouTube, someone's just attacking you for no apparent reason. Negativity is everywhere nowadays. I think for me, I like to, if I can, I like to just bring myself together. So I think when I have time spent by myself, I'm able to just collect my thoughts and just think about things through and just be more like considerate about the situation that's going on. I think as well, especially when like I'm dealing with negativity from like other people, I think it's important to be empathetic and think about things from a different perspective, if that makes any sense. Because obviously, one thing I like to believe, I think everybody has a reason for doing everything. I don't think anybody's stupid. So I think even if someone's attacking you, I think they have a reason behind it. So even me thinking that in my head, I have to be like considering the fact that for me, I don't like it, but they have a reason for it. For them, it makes sense. To me, it may not make sense, but because to them it makes sense. I have to just like, can't do much about that. And I just have to be very like I try to be positive regardless anyway. I try to be very positive in my own head. So even sometimes I know I can be feeling a bit down or whatever. I try to listen to music maybe, or I can watch something. I spend time with my friends or family. I just try to just be around things that I know make me happy during those like negative times. I do think in terms of when you're talking about how people sometimes are pushing you to do certain things,
Mm.
I believe if you genuinely love something, it doesn't even matter. Like somebody can tell you to do anything, you would even hear it, to be honest. I think that's one thing about human beings as well. I think we're quite stubborn in terms of like we're quite prideful as well. So we really do like to do things ourselves, our own way, like to believe we're correct as well. So if someone tells me that something's wrong, but I believe it's right, it's very, very difficult for them to like dissuade me from that. So I don't, it could be an issue one day, but today I don't think that's a problem for someone to tell me that you shouldn't do that. I generally, if I feel very strongly about it, it'll be hard for me to listen, I'll be honest. When I say
Yeah,
no, you shouldn't do that. It's a bad thing, but it's a good thing at the same time. I think in moderation it's a good thing because you should be humble. You should be willing to listen to people, but in moderation, because if you just followed everybody what somebody said, it won't be good.
yeah. The reason I was asking that is because, as people know, because I've mentioned it before, I didn't deal with negativity that type. I used to get really angry and stuff when I was
Mm,
18 and that, because I didn't deal with it quite like what you just said, which is quite blown away for the fact you do. So good for you, to be honest with you. But
thank you.
see when you're dealing with that type of stuff, and you're doing all that, you're doing your work in uni, you're probably doing other stuff that we'll get into. So you're kind of probably juggling loads and loads of different stuff. So do you ever feel yourself, and I know you're young, so you should be okay, but do you ever feel yourself being like, damn, I'm so fatigued, like I'm so burnt out, I'm so dead? And if you do, how do you deal with that?
I think all the time. I think most of the time, even I'm probably more tired than I am not tired, if that makes sense. I feel like how I deal with that, to be honest, it's difficult when you're burnt out. You're not really in your right mind frame, I don't think. You're just very tired and you just forget everything. I don't think I deal with that very well, I'll be honest. I don't deal with that very well at all. I had to work on that, to be honest, and just improve on that. But obviously, I also have the right mentality as well. So when I get burnt out, I have something to do that kind of like pushes me. And I think every time I do get burnt out, the best way for me to kind of get back in is to kind of like just take one step at a time, just get slowly just coming back in. Say for instance, I haven't done any schoolwork for like a few days, or maybe I say, okay, today I'll do at least 30 minutes. The next day I do at least 1 hour, then 2 hours, and I'm just building and building and building. And then eventually I'm obviously, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm back to just how like I was when I'm just not burnt out, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Because it's always good to have a plan, because some people don't get burned out that easy because they don't apply themselves to too much stuff. But I think you shouldn't be concerned, would be a good word, of being burnt out, but you should actually have that thing of being like, okay, it could happen. Like it could happen. So how am I going to deal with it? Like it's like having a plan for all different types of stuff. It's very like, yeah, like, you know, again, you definitely have a positive head about it. But see, when you're spreading time between uni, your job, and obviously social life, and you know, free time as well, just like time to yourself, like you said, to reflect on that. How do you make sure you're applying it to everything, like, you know, all the different stuff you do, if that makes sense?
I feel like it's important, just even just when I wake up and start the day, I kind of just have my head together. I say, today I need to get X, Y, Z done. If I get that done today, it's a successful day, in my opinion. So I just try to have goals that I can really achieve throughout the day. Instead of having like, before, what I used to have like a timetable to say, okay, from 9 to 10, I do schoolwork. From 10 to 11, you know, I do something else. But I feel like it doesn't work, because even during lockdown, you can see it's unpredictable. I don't think you can ever predict your day by the minute or even by the hour, because anything can happen at any time. It just changes everything. It throws everything out the window. So I'd like to have goals that I've set for the day. So say, for instance, I wake up today, I say, I want to have ABC done. Hopefully, fingers crossed, by the end of the day, I can get that sorted. And I know I'll allocate the time correctly to get that thing sorted. But I think it's also important to have things that you know they're more important than other things, if that makes any sense. And I think in my case, I am quite fortunate that obviously I think with my the people I work with, and like in terms of my company, I think they're quite understanding that obviously there's a lot going on my plate right now as well, in terms of university and then other things going on. So say for instance, I have like a bad day at work, I don't do too much, you know, I think my boss is quite understanding to say, okay, I see why this is why it's happened, and we can just work from there. But I don't feel like everybody's as fortunate to have like, so somebody understanding just to be around, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally, yeah. I think that having people that understand that you do a lot is what you need. Like a lot of people don't get it, and they'll be like, you shouldn't do that, you should stop doing it. But it's like, no, you need to be around people that are like, you are doing a lot, but you do need to like take back from like this section and put it in this section a little bit when it comes to certain things and spreading about your time properly. But how much do you always, I know it's maybe a silly question, but do you always allocate the right amount of time so you can actually take that breath out, like take that breather, and maybe like put the phone down and like just like take a breather and then go back to it? Or do you sometimes forget that because you are quite busy?
I feel like in terms of me having free time, I don't feel like I ever just I don't allocate time to my free time. I don't think. I think I value my free time quite a bit. So if I do get tired, I just step away, to be honest. If I do get tired, I'll step away. I'll go do whatever I need to do for a little bit, have like a breather, go on my phone for a little bit, and then just, you know, just come back. But I think it's quite, if anything, I think I spend too much time away from what I need to do instead of, you know, like doing what I have to do. So, but I feel that's quite, it's a problem nowadays, especially for your phone. You just pick it up, and you can, you know, you once you pick up your phone, you know, you're just scrolling. You could be there for hours on end. You don't even realize hours have gone past. I think that's a problem. If anything, I need to work on. Instead of actually allocating free time, I have to control my time, be disciplined. If that makes any sense, I have to know what I have to get done that has like precedence over my other things I have to get done, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. You're I feel you. I know what you're saying. Do you though have to, because you do have younger siblings as well? Obviously, we won't get into nothing else, but do you feel like that's a kind of like a little bit of added pressure on yourself because you need, if you work hard, they're going to work hard because they're seeing, oh, he's doing really well. We need to do this. We need to do this. Is that the type of thing that you feel as well?
Yeah, 125% even. Oh, absolutely. I think even when I was doing my GCSEs, that's the kind of exam that we do in England when you're in year 11, your final year of secondary school. When I was kind of like not burnt out, I wasn't trying to study a lot. I was thinking in my head, if I fail, what does that have to say to like my younger brother, my younger sister? What does that mean? Like if I fail myself, how can I then one day in the future just kind of try and push them? We can just turn around and say, Moses, like, look what you did when you were my age. You weren't doing, it doesn't make sense. So I feel like I just had to really just motivate myself just to know I have to do the best I can. So one day I can also kind of say to people that are kind of beneath me, and in terms of like age that I'm kind of responsible of, I can tell them you need to kind of do better, because I know when I was their age, I was doing good as well as at the same time, if that makes any sense. So I did kind of push myself to do that quite a bit. And I think one thing as well, obviously, I believe I can be a selfless person. So I think sometimes if I don't work for myself, I try to work for, my parents. I try to work for my siblings. I even try sometimes, I told myself, if I do bad in this test, maybe in the future, my child might not be able to get shoes that he wants maybe one day. So I try to just like, obviously I know at the end of the day, if you fail, it's on yourself, but I try to just think about other people it will impact instead. So it's just kind of like just shift like the repercussions of like me failing on other people. It makes me think, okay, I can't do it. I can't afford to do that. I don't want that to happen to people close to me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Do you not think though that maybe puts a lot of unnecessary pressure on yourself though? Do you ever feel like that?
I feel like it does. I think I've crashed completely, maybe like a few times. And I hope that like it's something I can stop. And, like I don't have to crash at all. And it's just, but I don't feel I feel like it works. I feel like it works. It shouldn't work, but I feel like it works in that kind of regard. But for now it's not a problem. One day it might be.
Yeah. Yeah, you're still young enough, so you should be like ready and ready to go and eager, especially in hungry.
Yeah.
I definitely, as I said to you before we started, I definitely wasn't doing this sort of stuff when I was your age. It just did not happen. But see, with you being, putting your eggs in a lot of different basket, as the famous, saying goes. When you're doing that though, do you have like better way to structure the question. When you have when you have your eggs in loads of different baskets, right? You kind of have you can start to figure out your flaws. So what would you say is like your personal flaw, whether that be professionally, as in your work and stuff like that, and then professionally, and then your biggest flaw personally, what would you say they are?
Good question once again. I think it's important to reflect on like your weaknesses. I think one big one in terms of when it comes to work, I think sometimes I can be lazy. Sometimes I am quite lazy. I'm quite like I'm too laid back sometimes. So I think obviously you can't always be on top of things, always. I think sometimes I can be quite lazy. Sometimes I can leave things be till later on, maybe, or I can kind of just like push something to the side and do something else instead. I think I need to be quite like just spend more time and just give more importance to different things that are more important, if that makes any sense once again. But that's in terms of work. I think personally, one major flaw, I think recently, my sleep hasn't been the best. I think I've been trying to work on make sure I'm sleeping at a good time, waking up at a good time. But I think that affects a lot of things now, because if I'm not sleeping properly, obviously I can't work properly. And if I'm saying I'm lazy, obviously maybe because I'm just tired. So it's just I need to just make sure that I'm taking care of my health as well. I think sometimes I can neglect my health because of work, and that's not good at all. So that's one thing I need to work on, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. What about you're saying your health and that? Do you mean like the way you eat, or the way maybe you have a drink or something like that, or do you mean like health as in like physical health? So you're like, what would be good the gym or anything like that? Is that what one do you mean by that?
when it's like my habits, like my eating habits, my sleeping habits, even sometimes because those two things I think they're quite important for me right now. Things I need to improve on my sleeping and my eating habits. I have to definitely be working, make sure I'm working a lot more on those. I think that's one of the biggest weaknesses personally I think I have anyway. I need to kind of work on to improve.
Good. And as you said though, it's not a lot of people when they get asked a question like that will admit their weaknesses because they don't want to admit them, because then you have to do something about it. That's the whole different thing.
Of course.
But excuse me, on an average night, because obviously, you know, not everybody gets the same sleep every night. They say I get about 8 hours. Well, you maybe get 6 or 5 or then 7 or 8 or whatever. If you had to say, like, obviously it's hard to know, but how much? Well, two parts to the question. The first part would be, how many hours do you allocate to your sleep a night? And the second part would be, if you could roughly say how many hours that you actually get versus, you know, how many hours you allocate. What would you?
I don't think at the moment, I don't think I allocate any specific kind of number of time. I like to say, in like an ideal world, an ideal day, I'm in bed around 10:30 and I'm sleeping before 11. That's like in an ideal world. And I wake up maybe 6, 7, 8. That's like an ideal, but obviously we don't live in an ideal world. So usually, even sometimes once I get on my phone, sometimes I can just be on my phone for too long at night. I can say I couldn't give a number of hours, so I haven't been tracking it to be honest. But I can say, for instance, yesterday I slept around maybe, I want to say 12. Then I woke up quite early once again at like 4 for no reason. There was no alarm or anything. I just recently as well, I've been sleeping quite early, but I'm waking up early as well. So it's just like, I have to just work on just getting my body to just do the right thing in terms of my sleeping. Just, yeah.
Do you?
That's I've been quite tired throughout the day, because if I'm sleeping at like 12, waking up at 4, it's not a lot of, you know, I'm gonna get tired. I'm gonna get tired. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when like you're doing a lot. But when you do, so for example, just take the day you just said, well, morning, I guess, whatever you want to call it. When you do wake up at that 4 a.m., what do you do from then till you start work? Or do you try and get back to sleep, or what's your regimen?
I think what I like to do, I like to make the most of my awake hours. Because once you're awake, that's when you can obviously do the most. So I think today my kind of plan was, obviously I got out of bed, I tried to eat as soon as possible. Obviously I went to my calendar to see what I had going on for the day. And I also tried to also kind of just get like a list of things that I had to get done in that day. And once I had that, I felt quite tired. I tried to go back to sleep for a little bit, and obviously I didn't. So I just woke up again and I just got started today, I guess.
So like, again, that's when if you're going to turn into like how to help you sleep here, but say before you go to sleep, how often or how long do you, before you put your phone down, do you go to sleep, if that makes sense? So like, say like half an hour before, or do you just, is it just like put your phone down and then like try and knock over? What's your so-called routine?
Once again, and in an ideal world, 10 minutes tops. I just put some quiet music, leave it to the side, and I fall asleep. That's in like an ideal world. But once again, we don't live in an ideal world. So I could be on my phone for hours at a time. Like I think before this week, before I had school, I would get into bed maybe around 12, but I wouldn't sleep till maybe 6 a.m. Just constantly just on. It's very unhealthy, and it messes up everything in terms of waking up early again, my work and education, school. But this meant that I was on the phone, just using my phone for way too long. I shouldn't be doing that at 6 a.m. It doesn't make any sense. But I think currently I have it sorted. Currently it's not an issue right now, but it is also something. It's always a looming issue, because I have a phone. I can't not have a phone. So there's a looming issue that one day I might go over time, but I'm hoping I don't.
Yeah, I think again it comes to the problem of like, oh, that I felt like my phone had buzzed, I'm going to check it because I could have had this. It could be an email, it could be a message. That's a priority thing. I was actually speaking to somebody off air about this type of thing, a doctor, which I'm hopefully going to get on, and he was saying what you should do is you should have your phone in another room. And I was like, yeah, but what about alarms? And he was like, you can buy an alarm for 10 quid from Asda. He was like, it's not really an excuse, but then it's easy enough to put that into, for those of you who are wondering, I don't do that, but it's easy enough putting into implement it in different things. But yeah, it's something that like because it's something to do with like the light from the screen and your eyes.
Mm.
You need to have it. That's why it's harder to fall asleep with the light on and all this sort of stuff. But when you're because you do a lot, do you think that the reason you could be tired as well, I know we kind of covered this a little bit, but do you think the reason you could be tired as well is because you're simply just not eating enough, or is it because you're not eating the right stuff?
I like that question, Carl. I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure. I couldn't say. I haven't really put it to the test. I haven't put it to the test at all. I should be working on my diet a lot more than I currently am. Because I am trying to improve on that. But I couldn't say at the moment. I think it's just a mixture of both, probably, I'd assume. It's a mixture of both.
Yeah, I appreciate the compliment. It's the fact that like it's because people don't concentrate on the main thing you should concentrate on before everything is food, because that's literally what fuels the body. Water, yeah, obviously you need to get water, but most people drink enough water every day, just because if you don't, you literally pass out. But not a lot of people eat food because you obviously have to eat every day, but you get people that'll eat the bare minimum, and then they actually hurt themselves and cause themselves pain, and it's actually really bad for your insides when you do that type of stuff. But I'm curious as well, just because like you're bless you, you're a very motivated type guy, like to come across to speak about it. So like it's something I want to do, explore a little bit. But see, like I've got another two-part question for you. Have you ever had to like because obviously you do a lot, so you're probably put in positions sometimes where you're like, I don't know, like a little bit nervous. Everybody gets nervous. Everybody gets butterflies. It just is what it is. But have you ever had to like face your fears before? And if you have, what what were they, and how did you deal with them? If you want to talk about it, obviously.
100%. I think obviously, everybody gets nervous at a point. You have to get nervous. I think even quite very recently, even, I think it was last week, if not the week before, there was actually a networking event now in London.
All right, okay.
So at the time I was supposed to go with two of my friends, and then they kind of bailed out last minute. So when I got there, I was the only person. I was going in alone. Obviously now I walked past the place to kind of get a look inside. I look inside. It looks quite daunting in there. Everybody's clearly older than me. I'm clearly the youngest by like five years at least. Clearly the youngest. Even to go inside there to just kind of get to talk to people, and me actually to approach somebody was quite a daunting task, to be honest. But obviously, I think once again I was just walking around, and I called one of my friends that kind of was supposed to come with me, and he just said, like, you have to go inside. Like you made the trip. If you can't go inside today, how about next year when it's even more important? So I was like, okay, I have to go inside. And literally, I went inside now. I think it was worth it at the end of the day. I met a lot of great people. I was able to communicate with a lot of different kind of just guys, I guess, and learn about their lives and what they've gone through. I think it was kind of important for me to just get in there. But beforehand, I was very scared to go inside, very scared, especially I think there's a thing called imposter syndrome. Obviously, when you don't feel like you're good enough to be in like a certain position. So obviously, me going inside, being the youngest by like a landslide once again, it's quite hard for me to just literally go inside now and just spend time in there talking to different people. But obviously, once I did it, I feel like it was worth it. So yeah.
The thing is, though, as well, is when you know the fact you've done that once, it's going to be easy the next time, and then the next time. And the great thing about, good for you, and the great thing about the fact you have done that is if you see somebody like yourself outside and you're like, you'd be able to go over and be like, look, I was in your shoes, come in with me, completely randomly, come in with me, I'll sort you out, I'll know, Bill and Ben down the street or something like that, they'll be able to help you in, and you'll be able to introduce people, and then that person will help people, and then so on, well, hopefully, and then so on. So it's probably good for you for like Kickstart and stuff like that. Good.
100%, yeah.
See, when everybody in their journey, right, has how to word this question. Everyone in their journey has obstacles they face. It's what it is. Even if you have a billionaire parents, and you still have obstacles. Like there's still, or you can never ever get exactly what you want because it's obstacles. So like, how do you, when you come in to deal with obstacles, how do you deal with them? And then when you have dealt with them, do you like implement what you did in that one to then the next one? Like how do you deal with it?
I think obviously when something's just in my way, it's like a daunting thing I have to kind of get over. I like to kind of, if possible, once again, if I'm in the right mind frame, I like to kind of just, analyze the situation, just look into it a little bit, understand a bit more of the problem, what's going on. And if possible, sorry, bless you. If possible, I like to kind of, I don't, how can I say, like kind of scout around, just see if I can find somebody that's got like been in this situation before, see if they can kind of help me out, see what they can also do to kind of just help me out regardless, and just tell me some information, maybe advice. I don't know. I think that's why it's important to surround yourself with different people that are even older than you, even sometimes. So, because they know a lot more than you, they know a lot more than you. So, quite literally, I like to have a lot of people around me that can aid me in these kind of situations. I think one time, I think lockdown obviously was quite hard for a lot of people. I think for me, in terms of my education in year 12, so my first year of college, it was quite hard for me to obviously join an online lesson and actually engage properly, if that makes any sense. So I wasn't engaging at all, to be honest, for like a good few months. I wasn't engaging in any of the content whatsoever. And I think I did miss like a large chunk of my learning because of that, because I just wasn't able to get myself in the right mindset to just do schoolwork, because it was quite different to me online. And even in that case, what I did was I spoke to a few of my friends, and they said that they told me it's important that I can't just fail for no reason. And if anything, it's better for me to have lockdown, because it means I can spend more time on other things, because I'm just at home the entire time. So I think that kind of helped me to talk to different people and just kind of face the issue head on, I guess. Yeah, and I think also obviously experiencing that kind of hurdle, just get over that hurdle now. Now I know the next time I see something similar, I can do the same thing to get over that as well, and just talk to a few people that are around me, just go over as much things as I can quickly, hopefully as well.
Yeah, the again, it's a very positive way to be honest, and as well as like I'm really intrigued with what you're saying about your friendship group. That's kind of sitting on my mind a little bit. I guess the viewers will be able to tell you very positive. So yeah, because it's sitting on my mind to find a friendship group like yourself. Obviously, if I'm right in saying this, is that one, you all relate. Like you're all driven. From what you've told me, obviously, you've all driven. You're all successful in that. Is your friendship group you've had always been like that, or have you had to like kind of narrow it down and add people in and narrow it down and narrow it down, or have you always managed to like hang about with these select guys, girls, whatever they identify as?
I think it does take time. It does take time to also just meet people that are kind of the similar mindset to you. So just kind of I think for me in my case, I was quite fortunate that everybody that I spent a lot of time with today, they all went to the same school as me. So we all went to the same school, all in the same year group. We kind of just knew each other. And from then we just kind of, just always from talking to each other now, spending a lot of time together, you realize, okay, these guys, I think that like what my friend tells me quite a bit as well, the best tester of anything, the best reveal of anything is time. So the more time you spend with somebody, the more you learn about them, the more you learn about their ideals, their beliefs. So I feel like just spending time with a lot of people, you get to kind of narrow it down and say, okay, I know this guy's good for this, I know this guy's good for that. And then just like that, you just build off each other as well. And I think, like I mentioned before, people get jealous when they see other people succeed. But I think in our case, we don't get jealous. It's the opposite even. If anything, it makes us happy. It makes us so happy that we're driven to overachieve ourselves and do whatever they did even better, if anything. I find that's quite important to just have like just people that they don't get jealous. So even sometimes I know people, they do something like really good, but they're scared to tell people because they think, oh, he might not like me anymore because of it, or maybe he's gonna get a bit jealous. But I like to believe in my case, I can openly say I've done something, and I know people say, well done, congratulations. And I also know that they'll go behind the scenes enough to kind of work on themselves and just do something even better potentially. So yeah, that's definitely, I think I'm very, very grateful for the friendship we've been able to build over the years, 100%.
Good, yeah. Or the thing is as well is that a lot of people don't realize if you do it kind of makes you look selfish in a way. I've had to do it. Like speaking from my point of view here, I only hang about with, for those of you that well know, for those of you who don't, I only hang about with my training partners and my family really now. I don't because, or obviously people like, that are involved and that are motivated, successful, stuff like that, stuff that people are like, and I don't really have the outside influences anymore because obviously with me being nearly 10 years older than you, I've 9 years, I've kind of like managed to develop that skill from, figuring out that you can even have, friends that you've known for, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever, and you can turn out that they're the negative ones. They're the ones that are bringing you down. So when they go, you flourish. It's a weird dynamic. I feel what you're saying, and I think it's good that you've done it at such a young age. But you know, you really never know who's going to come in and out of your life. And the same thing as well as like, you know, we're not finishing by the way, but like you gave me your time, and so then it's going to reflect good on you, not only to me, and obviously, like I said before we started, I'm really thankful to everybody. You know, that's another thing that people don't realize, is that helping people is something everybody should do more often, and less being like, what do you get out of it? Being like, I'm just going to help somebody just out of my own, because if I want help, but then I don't help someone that asks, even if it's a completely different person, why do I deserve the help? Because you know you didn't give it. It's a weird. Well, it's not really. It's weird for some people to you know, look at it that way. But then again, at the end of the day, the some people don't wash their hands when they come out the toilet. So I mean, that's weird to other people. It's very like, it's very, very, you know, different things, but like a similar kind of mindset concept type thing. But excuse me. See, when you're you know, with being at your age and with being involved in what you're involved in and things like that, and obviously you have social media, which will get on you, and you know, obviously later on when we're finishing and that for everybody. But do you watch what you, two-part question again, do you watch what you post on your social media, whether that be Instagram or Twitter or anything like that? Or and if you do, or if you don't, obviously, do you think that people should watch what they post and stuff when it comes to being employed and things like that?
Yeah, I think there was one episode, I forgot the one it was. I think this question, I heard this question before, and I was kind of interested, because when I heard the question, I was answering it myself in my head as well. And I thought about it, and I think 100%, I think it's important to watch what you post online, because I think nowadays, especially, that's just the main way that people can judge who you are before actually meeting you. I think obviously it's an issue that humans do judge each other, but I think it's unavoidable, to be honest. And you see someone, you judge them instantly. So I think the best way to judge people nowadays is to see what they're doing online. So if you see someone on social media now, that's how they portray themselves. That's their brand. And that's how, if you're going to hire them, that's who you're going to take into your own brand now. So people have to be very considerate what they're putting online. I think there's always been a few instances, maybe somebody's done something years ago, maybe, and it gets uncovered. And obviously at that point now, there's a bit of controversy going around in terms of whether they should still be getting different partnerships or whatnot because of their previous history. I think in that case, it's quite extreme. But once again, like I said before, people judge. You cannot be judged. And the main way to judge somebody without ever meeting them is to go through social media nowadays. So people look at your Instagram, they'll look at your Twitter, they'll look at your Snapchat, whatever it is they look at. They'll say, okay, Moses, I know he does X, Y, Z, he likes X, Y, Z, he believes X, Y, Z. From then, they can just make a conclusion almost of who you are and what you believe in without actually meeting you. So I think it's quite important we establish ourselves very well online. And I think it's unfortunate, to be honest, but I think it's unavoidable. Because it's even like saying, now imagine obviously you go outside and you have like a big sign in the forehead saying, I'm Moses or I'm Kyle. If you do something stupid, everybody will know, okay, Kyle, he does stupid things in the shops. Do you know what I mean? So it's online now and the social media, that's where people can see, okay, that's what Moses does, you know, and that's again, humans judge and it's unavoidable. So I think it's just the way it is. But I think and because of that, it's important we moderate what we put online. And I try to moderate it myself.
And you should. That's something I always say to people. You be authentic, be who you are. But if you're going to be an idiot, if you're going to be saying things towards, you know, whether that be like another sex, another race, or another, you know, company, another, you know, family member, if you're going to be a bully or something like that, you don't deserve a job. Like in my eyes, like, and I'm not just saying that from somebody that's experienced a lot of hate in his life. You genuinely don't. And I think that if you think it's okay to be like that and then go online and say that to people and that, it's like, okay, but you may not, say you didn't have a job, you're making it look like your parents brought you up wrong. You know, you know, with me, you know, I'm kind of like yourself. I was just brought up by my mum, but like my brother kind of helped with a little bit, and so did my little sister. So we're really close. And if I know if I said something ridiculous, which I don't, but if I did, it would look bad on them, and people, they would get hate as well. That's what people don't realize, is that post what you post online. Fair enough, you know, say what you want to say, but it's not you all the time that necessarily will get the hate. People might leave you alone. You know, if you're built like Dwayne Johnson, not a lot of people are going to give him hate in person, but if you're built like Dwayne Johnson's brother or sister, or say whatever he has, I guess, they're going to get the hate because people they can hassle them more and not get any repercussions type thing. It's you know, it's a very good way of dealing with it. And with your age, because when you're my age, it'll be incredible to see where social media actually is.
Yeah.
Especially with like the metaverse and NFTs and all this sort of stuff. It's going to be incredible to see where we are. So it'll be good to, and I do think that you're very right in saying that you never know what's going to get brought up, like from the past, or somebody that's been following you now could be following you along because they know you want to employ you, they know what you do, so they're going to continue following you for years and years and years. And as soon as you mess up, you're done. Like, but you'll never know, you never lost that opportunity for that reason. But in here, you might be like, if I hadn't posted that, I wonder if I would have a job right now. I wonder if I'd be where I want to be. It's very, yeah, you definitely have the right mindset for it. I'll give you that.
100%, definitely. I think also kind of just on the back of what you said, some things don't actually have to be shared. Some things you can just keep to yourself, to be honest. And I think even just me recently, I've been reading quite a lot as well. I've seen as well, even just in my own behavior, other people's behavior, like people like attention, to be honest. People like a lot of attention. So when people are sharing controversial stuff online, they know what they're doing, to be honest. They know people are going to see it. They know it's there for people to see. So if that's your brand you're building, I don't think there's an issue. Like, there's no reason for someone to complain if there's backlash when that's the brand you're putting out. That's the only thing people can use to judge you on. Because nobody's met me in real life before. But if they've seen online, I've said X, Y, Z, that's who they know me as for what I've done, if that makes any sense. So I feel like, yeah, it's just your brand. So it's important you moderate it 100%.
Yeah, and when you do come to realize that, and usually people do it again, I am quite, and people will be able to tell because it's like the Derek Johnson podcast. I was very taken back. I'm very taken back how motivated you are for being 18. It's incredible. That's why I'm kind of like stuttering my words a little bit. I was not like that at 18. I'm not even like trying to like, like I'm just being truthful. So just being honest. Like it's incredible.
I appreciate it.
But again, though, is that because you do have, like, I know I already asked this question, but I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. Where does this motivation come from? Because I know you're saying, you didn't have a dad. Is that, I'm sure you said you didn't have a dad, so you brought up with your mum, just like me. So like, and I know why I'm motivated. So I'll say it after you said it, but there has to be another reason. Like, where did this motivation stem from? Like, where did it come from?
I want to know myself, to be honest. I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know. I'm not sure. Genuinely, I don't know. Maybe I watched something when I was younger. I have no idea. I have no idea. But I think it's a good trait I have, and I think I want to just build on it as well, keep it forward. But I genuinely have no idea. I don't know what it is about me that's done, because a lot of people I talk to as well, they kind of say, like, even people my age, they're like, mate, are you crazy or something? Like, what are you doing? Or like, you're doing too much. Like, just calm down. I just can't. I can't find myself to do it. It just drives me, to be honest. It's just the way I am, I think, and it's not much. I don't know what the reason is for it, to be honest.
Is it because and is it because you're in? For people that don't know, he's lucky enough to live in London, my second favorite place after Manchester. But do you think it is because it's in London and there's so much potential to be successful, and there's something like over like, what is it like 10,000 or 1,000 millionaires, and then it's like 101 billionaires or something like that, or there was last time. I think is it because you know that the potential is there in that city, and you're like, I'm here, I should take sheer advantage of the fact that I'm lucky enough to stay in London. Do you think that's something that plays on your head as well a little bit?
I think, thankfully, it didn't before. It didn't before. And obviously, even going into university, people have the option now to pick if they want to stay in London or obviously go to a different city for their university. I think, thankfully, I realized around maybe May, June 2021, how like valuable it is to just live in London, to be in London, and how much potential and how much opportunities there are actually in London. But that's not something I had before, like maybe May 2021. I think I was still quite inspired to do a lot even beforehand. But it was really like this last year when I realized, wow, like London's actually, there's a lot you can do here. You can achieve a lot in London. There's a lot that can be put on your plate just because you live in London, if that makes any sense. So I think from that, I kind of knew, okay, that's even more a reason for me to just do as much as I can in London, just take advantage, I guess, just go through, meet as many people as I can, talk to different people. Because like I said before, the people that live in London, if you look at the stats, it's ridiculous. So for me to live in a city with people like that, it means I have to make the most of it, to be honest. I have to. I have no other choice. It wouldn't make sense for me to go away from it or just to move away from it. I have to make the most of what I have been given on my plate. So I think definitely it's important that I found out now. I'm glad I found out. Because before I didn't. Definitely when I was 17, 16, even 18, I didn't know that. But I found out. I think I'm glad I found out. I like this age I am at right now. I think it's quite important. I've finally found out.
Yeah, the excuse me. It's because like people don't realize that like when you live in a bigger city like that, I currently don't, but when you live in a bigger city, one obviously in London there was something like 8.5 million people. In Scotland, there's 5 people in the whole of Scotland. 5 million people, obviously not 5 literally, but it's crazy. And the people you'll meet and the connections you'll make in the type of industry, you know, whether that be computer science and whether that be real estate, is incredible. I mean, London is one of the biggest hubs for real estate investment in the United Kingdom, and it's probably one in the whole world. Probably wouldn't surprise me. I don't know the stat, but it probably wouldn't surprise me if it was. But what I'm curious about with all this sort of with all, you know, London and it's, you know, extravagantness and it's very like temptations and very stuff. How do you not listen to the temptations, and how do you like still kind of zone in every day to that? Because I'm sure there's lots of like things that you could be taking your mind, we don't have to go into them, but you could be taking your mind off. But how do you like stay on the straight and narrow constantly rather than having like even days where you're off it? You seem to have constantly be on it. How do you manage to deal with that? That's bound to take a lot out, and you like take a lot out of you mentally staying like that. Or what's your opinion on that?
I agree. I think it is quite taxing. It must be quite taxing, especially like I said before, social media. My friends could be doing anything. I don't know what they're doing. I'm seeing that now. That's what they're doing. It looks nice. On paper, it looks nice. You look at it, they're having fun. It looks like they're having fun. They're enjoying themselves. It makes you think, wow, I'm at home. Obviously, I'm not screaming. I'm not having fun. I'm not smiling as much as they are. But I don't know what it is once again. That kind of life, doing all of that kind of stuff, it's never really been attractive to me, if that makes any sense. I think maybe, if anything, I think that's one thing that I can say I can attribute to my parents 100%. They've kind of drilled into me from young that, like, you know, there's certain things that there's no point doing almost. There's not a lot of joy you're going to get out of doing certain things, because especially if there's like short-term joys, if that makes any sense. So like, if you're happy today, but in the future, it's going to impact you. I just think growing up, just my parents have just been pushing me away from just building very, very bad habits that I could potentially maybe get into. So in that case, I'm fortunate to say that there's a lot of things that even growing up to this day, I don't see the point of. It doesn't really attract me. It doesn't really make sense to me at all. So I think, once again, it's not like anything, like I don't feel like I'm missing out. I don't care about it. So I never felt like maybe I'm missing out on having some fun, maybe, I just don't care. So that means that it's not a problem almost. Because I don't care.
So like, say your downtime, right? You know, you're not working, either whether that be with your mates, whether that be with your younger siblings, whatever that may be. What would you say is like your number? Well, because everybody doesn't have a one thing, because it all depends on what you're doing. We'll say like, what's your top? You can go over it if you want, but like, what's your top 3 things you do to like, apart from clearly movies, that you because everybody will see the Dragon Ball Z poster behind you, the Avengers one, and
Definitely, that is Blossom. Definitely.
that's the one. Yeah, I totally knew that. Totally knew that. What do you do to wind down? Like, what's your number one thing where you can just like, you know, makes you feel apart from working, that makes you feel good?
If I'm alone, I'm absolutely alone. Or
well, we'll do both.
Alone.
We'll do if you're alone or if you're with your mates type thing, because obviously it might be the same. You never know, but it might be different.
I'm honest, people ask me this question quite a bit. I don't know why. It's bad. I find it hard to answer
Mm.
because genuinely, I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure. I think I just when I do what I want and I want to do at that time, it makes me that's enough for me anyway. I don't need that's enough for me. So I think in my downtime, probably just the usual, just scrolling on my phone, maybe TikTok, Reddit, whatever I want to do, just scrolling. I think it's quite relaxing. I feel listening to music actually is probably a big one actually. I mentioned listening to driving is quite a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I think just going outside. I like going for a walk sometimes, listen to music. And also if I have the time and I'm in the right mental state, don't mind playing a few video games here and there. I think I can spend a lot of time doing that as well. But yeah, I think with video games though, I feel like it's a bad habit almost because you can, like I said before, you can just kill hours just playing a game. And then I don't like killing hours because when I look back, I'm like, why? Why did I do that? Even though I enjoy myself, I'm like, I would have rather not. So I don't like playing video games, but obviously when I do play video games, that's probably the number one enjoyment because there's a lot of like what's it called? Is it serotonin? I don't know what it is anymore.
Yeah, it
But
releases
yeah,
it
it's
in the
just,
brain and makes you feel
yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so it's very enjoyable, very addictive playing video games. But if not, listening to music and just going outside, I guess. I like the fresh air sometimes. So yeah. And also, sorry, we said when I'm with my friends. I'm with my friends. When there's talking to people around me, I like talking. I'm a very talkative person. I like talking to family, talking to friends. So just spending time with my friends or family, I guess, I think that's quite important for me.
Mm.
Like I said before, I like going outside as well. If I'm going outside with family or friends, that's probably like the number one thing I could probably do. I'll be over the moon. Like I'm just spending time getting to talk a bit more about different things. Other than that, with other people, I guess if you go out and you eat some nice food with some of your friends, I think that's quite nice to do as well. You go to like a restaurant or something, quite enjoyable. But definitely, yeah, it's probably
Yeah,
the three.
yeah. What's and you're very right about the computer. I just take away 2 points of what you said. The games, gaming itself is fun, but I always say to people, unless you want to take it professionally, which is apparently it was easier before, debatable. I think it's a lot easier now. That you
Mm,
can that's when you spend your hours playing games. That's when you spend your hours time because that's what you want to do. But don't
mm,
go around in 5 years' time, for example, someone that's your age versus you 5 years' time, and it's like, oh damn, I wish I'd done that. I wish anybody could just turn around and say, you literally spent 4 or 5 hours a night playing video games. Like,
mm.
what were you expecting to happen? Like, were you expecting just it to be handed to you when somebody's willing to work and put themselves in that position? It's crazy. And the second one, if you are going to play a game, what would it be? What would be your favorite? What's the type of game you really like playing?
Currently, currently, it's a bad game to play. Like I said before, it takes a lot of time. But I do like because I'm a football fan. I like playing FIFA. So it's like it could be a really casual game, and it's good because you can also play with other people as well. It can be a really casual game, but it's also quite competitive as well at the same time. Obviously, that kind of competitive aspect can really take, it can take a lot of your time, a lot of your day.
Mm.
If not FIFA, then I guess maybe just sort of single player games that I can play while listening to music. I think recently I've been playing Fallout 4 and
Mm.
also Doom Eternal, so it's kind of two I've been playing at the moment.
What?
Other than that, I don't think I've played. Sorry, go on.
No. You go on. It's my bad.
Apologies. I was gonna say I don't think I played that often because I don't want to. Because once I do fall into that hole, I've fallen deep into that hole. So I rather not fall into the hole at all.
Mm.
Yeah.
What when you are listening to music, who would you say is like your top? Because this is a hard question, but who would you say is
Mm.
like the top? We'll say a handful because I won't give you a number because then you might feel obligated to say someone. But who's your top handful number that you would say that you actually listen to, if not every day, like your average one, so like on a daily basis type thing?
Yeah, I think even without a number, there's always three, maybe four that constantly. I think it's important to listen to music that kind of puts you in the right mind frame. Because I think with music, you're spending a lot of time, you're taking it in. So if the music I'm listening to doesn't put me like the right kind of mindset, I don't like it. I think in recent years, I've been enjoying a lot of, don't know if you're going to know them too much, but there's a guy called A Boogie with the Hoodie. I'm a big fan of him.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan of another individual named of Kondo Rondo, big fan.
Mm-hmm.
From the last guy, currently, I want to say Meek Mill. If you've heard of any of those three, to be honest, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I done a HNC in sound production, and I know a lot of rappers. And
Okay.
with working with
Okay.
a grime rapper, actually,
Mm.
before. Yeah, we listen to a lot of that type of stuff. I'm a huge hip hop head. But
So,
when with everything we've said and that, and again, I'm not finishing. We're just analysing what I've said.
100%.
When it's got 5 years time, I know you're saying you want to be self-employed and things like that. So what does 10 years time look for you? Not money wise, because obviously we said before, but you'll have a goal. But what does 10 years time look down the line for you? Do you still want to be in the UK, or because you want to be in computer science or like apps or anything like that and real estate, are you going to move to the States, or are you going to move to like, maybe Dubai, or apparently Australia is now starting to get big up in like the apps where, or is it you just want to live here in London and do that type of thing?
I think if given the freedom and given like the kind of time to, I would very much like to just go to like it's a complete different city. I think one city I would like quite recently, I like Zurich quite a bit. Obviously, there's a language barrier there, which is also a good thing. I can learn a new language a bit as well. I think I'm a big fan of Zurich. If not, I genuinely love London. I can't lie. I'm a big fan. I just love London. I could stay here forever. I wouldn't mind. Maybe in 10 years, I might change my mindset, but I know I'm a big fan of London. But Zurich, I think it would be nice to go there. Even Paris, it'd be nice to just be in like a different city where you don't speak this language as everybody else. You're forced to learn stuff basically, and you kind of explore a bit, spend time in like a different culture, different society. And yeah, I think that'd be ideal, to be honest. I wouldn't mind that too.
Yeah. What attracts you to London though? Is it the possibilities, or is it because you've had quite a lot of success in London so far, or is it because there's like another reason? What kind of keeps you there? What's your anchor? Is what I was looking for there.
I think what I like about London is even recently I have a lot of family from like different places in the world. But for me to kind of like understand that they value London so highly, I think outside of London, people value London quite highly. It's quite like it's a nice place to go to. For some people, it's even a dream to come to London one day and just be in London and just get a job here, work here. I think I was talking to a guy, I don't know if it was maybe September or August. He came from South Africa now. He came to London for the first time to live here. Even him, he was mesmerized. He just loved the place. He was asking so many different questions. And just really surprising to see people from outside of London. They just seem to this almost, I don't want to say it like idolize, because that's like a strong word, but it really seems to see how good of a city London could really be in terms of different opportunities, different people you would meet. I think just for me to kind of not want to take things for granted, I think that's quite important for me to just think about. And I think also to think that my parents, obviously, they moved to London. So I think that just, for me, that gives me like a lot of motivation as well to see, obviously, that my parents' dream was to come to London. It should be my dream to kind of like almost accomplish London, to me to like do as much as I can within London and like just have success within London, since my parents' dream was to make it here, and they succeeded in that, so they're here. I think I should just accomplish their dream. Just finding success in London. I think that's one thing that kind of motivates me as well, to be fair.
What if you're watching this from 5 years from now, what's like maybe like, again, it's hard to put a number on it, because like you never want to say, oh, they're my top two things, because that's impossible. But we'll say again, what's the top handful of things you would want to say to yourself in 5 years' time? If you were to look at this right now in 5 years, what would you want yourself to say?
5 years' time, hopefully I'm still like very driven. Still very driven. Hopefully I still value my relationships, people around me. I'm making sure that I'm taking care of my relationships. So I'm being generous, I'm being kind to different people. I'm not getting very angry. I'm controlling my relationships quite well. They're all going quite smoothly. I think also, I'm just enjoying myself. I'm happy. I've got good relationships around me once again. I think that's quite important to have good relationships. So yeah, I'm just happy. I'm looking around. I see everything. I'm spending my time in the right places. I see that obviously I'm pursuing my dream. I'm doing different kinds of things that make me happy at the time. And yeah, just keep strong, man. Keep strong, I guess. Don't give up.
Good. And again, the stuff we've covered is, it's I am taken back a little bit, but like you're very, very motivational and driven, So I think you should definitely hone in on that on various different subjects, and I'll speak to you once we finish the podcast about something I think would really help yourself. So what I do want to say is I do want to say thank you for your time, especially for the time of night it is and that as well. It's incredible that you gave me, you know, this amount of time, and I think we've went for an hour and a half of like, it's crazy. I do want to say thank you, and I do want to say to everybody, what's your if you want to give them out, we'll say, what's your Instagram and Twitter and stuff that people can maybe, like, if they're struggling with motivation and they're like, I don't know what to do, they could maybe contact you and, you know, you could help them if you want, obviously.
100%. I think my LinkedIn is obviously a good place to start. So that's just my name. So just Moses Makola. I know that'll be in the title, obviously. I think what's my Instagram, that goes by obviously my first name underscore my surname. So Moses underscore Makola is my Instagram I'm currently using right now.
Yeah,
well, simple.
That's really easy to find as well.
Yeah.
So you guys know that what I think the best bet would be, because LinkedIn, a lot of people do have LinkedIn, but they could sometimes get muddled in. I would say Instagram, but LinkedIn, I would say LinkedIn, if you want to contact them in a professional stuff about stuff, LinkedIn is the best place. Instagram, if you want like more casual conversation, just in my opinion, I'm sure you'll agree. But again, I want to say to everybody, I want to say to you first, Moses, thank you for coming on, and you genuinely keep the motivational attitude. Keep it. Don't. You all get beat down, and you will get like crushed in that, because it does. Everybody, it's a horrible thing to say, but it does happen. You will have a day where you burn out. But remember though that there's everything. The whole famous old wives' tale: everything happens for a reason. Everything. You meet people and you engage in conversations, whether it be negative or positive, for a reason. All the time. It is what it is, and you always suck from it what you want and keep in you what they say that you'll take in will stay in you longer than what you meant, and it will actually actively make you do good stuff. So, you know, again, I want to thank you for coming on, and I want to say thank you to everybody for watching. The comments, the subscribes, everything, it means a lot. 1 minute of someone's time is something that you can't get back. So the fact that everybody's watched this for 1 minute of time, it means so much. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you again, Moses, and like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you later on. See you later.